Hi, I'm Gia Cilento, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the 2021 Mindset Mastery for Business Leaders Summit, hosted by my good friend, Nicole Holland, where I'll be teaching you how to go from frazzled to fantastic.
Amazing. Gia, welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
I'm really glad to be here, Nicole. I can't tell you how pleased I am to spend this time with you. I'm honored, actually,
Me too. It's
and I
always
appreciate
fun.
it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I love you so much. And it's always so much fun to play. And we're getting going here after chatting a long time before hitting record. So I'm excited to shift things now and talk about um, your topic. So if you could
Yeah.
think back to a time when you as a leader realized that what you believed about time and attention management wasn't working, and then you made a mindset shift or realized that there was a better way, what was the problem holding you back? And how did you come to make the shift that propelled you forward?
That's a great question, actually. And, there's obviously been something that all of us have been going through recently with the pandemic. And it's not the first time that I've had problems. So, and with overwhelm and managing time, managing stressors. Um, and there are several steps that I've put together over the years that have really helped me. And I've shared them with others in the past too. And it's made a difference for people when you can kind of isolate what's going on, what's happening, and where you want to be. So um, paying attention to who you are, being in a certain situation, what your behavior is, kind of becoming aware is the first step. I'm just going to dive right into the steps if that's okay with you. Okay. Anyway, so basically, I have 6 steps that I go through. And as I said, the first step is being aware. You have to know what you're doing in a certain situation. If you're agitated, if your reactions to other people are overly strong, maybe you feel angry or irritated, frustrated. These are things that can really, if you're paying attention, you'll notice that that's not how I want to be. I need to stop. And that actually takes me into number 2, which is breathe. And I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but most people don't breathe very well. Most people are in a state of perpetual tiny little breaths. And especially when you feel stressed, you're going to stop breathing. And many people do that. And it sends your whole body into a state of panic. And the body chemicals that are produced then actually start a vicious cycle of more stress. So taking a deep breath tells your body physiologically that everything's safe, that you're fine, you can calm down, your body starts to go into a calming mood. There's a lot of research done about it, but it comes from a primitive response. If you are taking short panting breaths, you're probably running from the tiger. And when you get to a place of safety, maybe a cave, you start breathing more slowly, you take deeper breaths, your body starts to calm down, your heartbeat lowers, your blood pressure reduces, and we still respond that way physiologically. So taking that 2 to 3 deep breaths, taking a moment to pause, sometimes closing your eyes can really be helpful because it reduces the number of stimulants that you are putting into your brain. So you just have to take that moment and bring yourself down to earth again. Calm down, reduce the chatter in your head, and breathe. Those are the first 2 steps.
So let me jump in here for a
Yeah.
moment. So this is great so far. Thank you. So awareness is just like, is there a trigger or some kind of anchor point that you recommend for folks um who are maybe feeling overwhelmed, out of control? Like, is there something specific that they can do to trigger, oh, it's time for me to get aware of what's going on here? Because I know for myself, sometimes if I'm feeling frazzled and like, like a crazy person and everything's going wrong or everything's like,
Yeah.
coming at you, for me, I've got my own strategies and tools and techniques, but I'm always open to learning new ones to help me become aware faster and like take that pause. So is there
Right.
something that we can share with the audience to help us become just even getting into the 6 steps, right? Just to get to that first one of, okay, awareness, and then to transition into breathing. Like I feel like I want to tap my wrist because I know that some people use anchors like that, like physical anchors, to create a habit to make the necessary adjustments.
I think, there are different things that people can do. One of them is something that you're referring to, I believe is an NLP, that you can tap yourself. Um, you can create a habit of checking in with yourself every day at a certain time. And that's actually something that might be a good idea. I have a morning and an evening ritual, and that helps me just know, keep on an even keel every day. If you are not doing that yet, I would suggest implementing something like that, something that is a regular ritual. Even you could ritualize it, you could make it fun, because that's the best thing. And that's also something else that I like to smile and I like to have fun. And if you can check on yourself throughout your day, and what is your face doing? What is your breathing doing? Just take a check. Look in the mirror. Are you frowning? Are your stress lines really popping out there? Do you have that RBF going on? Those are things. You have to create something for yourself that works. Just like you said, you have your own process. And I guess I would make these things are kind of guidelines, but becoming aware, if you have a habit of checking in with yourself, that will actually stimulate you to know, to be aware in the moment and throughout the day. And that helps you catch it before it gets to something where maybe you're exploding on somebody who doesn't respond back in kind, or does respond back in kind. And, then you have a bigger problem. So
Thank
being
you.
aware is something that takes a habit. And actually
So
that
it's
leads
some
into another part, but we'll talk about that
cool.
later.
Yeah. So it basically then, if I'm hearing you correctly, we want to create rituals, habits that are regardless of how we're feeling in the moment, so
Mhm.
that we're consistently checking in with ourselves.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily just at the time where we're spinning out, but it's a
Yeah.
daily or many times a day. Maybe
Yeah.
you put an alarm on your phone. I know for a while I had an alarm. I think it was Rajesh Sethi that that gave me this tool a long time ago, that I really loved using, and it was just setting an alarm on your phone that asks, "What are you grateful for right now?" Or
Ooh, I like
what's
it.
good right now. So I would do like different alarms, and I would just set it for like a daily alarm to go off, and it just, whenever it went off, I had to stop what I was doing no matter what, unless I was driving, pull over, right? Or
Mhm.
and then I
Mhm.
had to sit and take the time to breathe and answer the question for myself, like, what's the best thing that's happened to me so far today, or things like
Right.
that. So I've
Something gratitude, appreciation.
yes.
Yes.
Or, how are you feeling right now? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10. So just periodically putting in
Mhm.
different alarms, because sometimes I would get used to the alarm and then I would just ignore the alarm. So
Yes.
updating those questions that I would write, that the
Yeah.
alarm would go off, and the sound and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's something personally that has helped me. And it sounds like this is something that you also advocate for, doing something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's actually step 6, which is structure for success. So I have
Let me get you
several.
get back to it then.
Yeah. I mean, and part of that is integrity and being true to yourself, giving yourself what you need. So let me just, if I'll back, one is awareness, breathe, because that's like, hello, breathe. Um, and actually smile, breathe and smile, because the act of smiling creates the opposite chemicals, the happy chemicals, the ones that everybody wants, endorphins, serotonin, all those good ones,
And I
dopamine.
butt in once more.
Sure.
Okay. So
All you want.
I used to work with adjudicated male youth, and a tool that we used to use with these guys, because it was easy for them to fly off the handle. They didn't want to
Ah.
be inside. They didn't want to be changing their behaviors. But a tool I used to use with my kids sometimes was, um, did you know that if you put your arms out to the side, I'm too close, like I can't get further back so you can see the whole thing, but you put your arms straight out to the side, palms up, right? All the way out.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you would be standing. But if you tilt your head back, and what was the other thing? I think we had to I learned this from a laughter therapy trainer. Something it's like you have to head back, nose up to the air. And I think it was like standing on your tiptoes or something. Like you actually physiologically would make yourself smile, and you had
Yes.
to hold it because you couldn't, like it
Oh,
changed your state. It changed your
yes.
energy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I haven't heard that one before, but I have done quite a bit of laughter therapy alone and in groups, breathing therapy. It's just laughter does release the endorphins, but it's just you can't not laugh if someone else is laughing. I mean, you could make yourself laugh. And I also baby therapy. If you can find a baby laughing, you can't stop yourself. So those are things that I will go and find a little baby laughing sometimes if I want to have a good laugh. But yeah, there are so many things that you can do. Your body is made to feel good, really. So that's why they call it dis-ease. If it's not feeling good, something's not going right. And if you can catch it early enough when it's still emotional, behavioral, you can shift so many things in your life. So it's important to be aware, breathe, and assess your situation. That's my third. Assess your situation, see what the stressors are. Or do you have too many things to do? Are there people in your life that maybe need to not see so much? Set your boundaries. How's your behavior? Are you attracting something in by the way you're behaving? Are you outputting anger instead of appreciation? So assessing your situation, what is causing your agitation or frazzled state, and take a good look at what they are. And we'll come back to that in your structure for success. That has to do, in many cases, it has to do with boundaries, being able to say no, knowing who you are and what lights you up, and moving towards those things. So the fourth step is to focus out. And by that, I don't mean like focusing out into the world. I mean, take your focus and move away from the object in question. A lot of times, I used to have a coach, and I used to do this in my coaching when back in the day when we used flip charts. So if you take a big piece of, imagine a piece of flip chart paper, and I would put a little dot right in the middle, and then tell whomever was with me, whoever is coaching, go and put your face right up there, put your eye right. And it's just to demonstrate you're up here. You're putting everything is so close to you that you can't see. I know it's cliche, but you can't see the forest for the trees. You're too far, too close. You're microscopic. And so you need to give yourself that 10,000-foot view, because, my mom always had a saying, it's all the same in 100 years. Most things are really not as important as they seem in the moment. So taking that focus out to the 10,000-foot view can help you achieve that state of fantastic, because when you look at your life, for the most part, you're probably going to find some things that you wouldn't have realized before. You're doing okay. You're a good person. Um, People like you, whatever it is you decide to find out. But it's, if you get too involved in the minutia, it can really throw you off because you're not able to see your full path from that perspective. Um, the next thing that I like to do, number 5, is to identify one thing that you can do right now, one easy, small thing. It doesn't have to be big. Could be looking up someone's contact information. But chances are you have a big to-do list, and um, it's probably written down. Maybe it's on 1,000 different little sticky notes like I have. Or maybe it's one big list on a white, whatever, wherever you keep it. You know that you have a ton of things on your plate. And to give you a win, to give you that feeling of accomplishment, just pick out one thing that would make a difference, one thing that will be easy to do, short time frame, and you can check it off your list and actually check it. Do the physical motion of acknowledging that you've accomplished a task, and then consider doing a little happy dance. Get up and do something physical to say, yes, I did it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Acknowledge that you've taken a step in the right direction. It's amazing. I'm getting like kind of a head rush just thinking about just doing this, like kind of like what you were saying. It's like the Wonder Woman pose or the Superman pose. I've got Superman back here to remind me. But doing that one thing makes you a huge difference, and it'll set you up for success, which is the next step for me, is creating that structure for success. And, we know there are different learning styles. There are 3, 5, 7, it depends on the school of thought you're following. But there are some things that you want to keep in mind. Physiologically, as humans, we have a finite amount of decisions that we can make at any one time before we fatigue, and then we just say no. So set yourself up that the important things, not the fires, but the important things that you want to achieve are done at the beginning of the day, immediately after a break, after lunch, and the rest of the time, leave that for things that you don't have to, that aren't as heavy into decision making. Maybe they're rote type of administerial chores or something like that. So the time of day you do tasks is very important. Set aside those times first. The next thing that we happen to, our society is very, we're all after the shiny object. We can all be distracted so easily, and we get interrupted constantly. Our attention span is, I think, less than a goldfish right now. So 8 seconds, 9 seconds. And that has been decreasing over the last, since the 70s or 80s, when they first, I think we had like a minute and a half. Now we have 8 seconds. So try to block out some time. You can use a Pomodoro timer, put a sign on your door if you have a door. If you don't have a door, try to get a door, because you need to have some time uninterrupted. And you need to, this is one of the big parts of structuring for success, is setting your boundaries. You have to be able to say, this is my time. I'm taking it for myself. I'm not going to be interrupted. Even if you can just get 10 minutes, the ideal is 30 to 60, because it can take a good 10 to 15 minutes to get back into what you were concentrating on. So you want to give yourself enough time to actually accomplish something, and then congratulate yourself.
I want to butt in here for a sec with another perspective.
Sure.
Because I agree 110% with everything you're saying. What I found for myself, as somebody who lived for years in an open concept loft, like a cottage without doors anywhere, right? Like what, and somebody who now embraces that. And in fact, today, I needed to get out of the apartment. I needed to get away. And I literally took my books, I took my phone, I left the apartment, I went down the driveway to my van, where from my apartment, there's beautiful views, but from the end of the driveway, you're looking at the ocean and the mountains
Ooh.
across the ocean, right? So
Oh.
it's really just a totally different vibe, view. And so as I have been playing in different places over the past year or so, what I find to be really good is actually getting out of my space. When I was in
Ah.
Florida, I lived right near the beach and it took me 5 minutes to get to the beach. And I did my greatest, like the greatest impact wisdom came to me when
Mhm.
I let go of everything. And I found that that time that I spent just walking on the beach and not thinking, not efforting was the most impactful time of my day.
Oh,
So
yeah.
just another
Yes.
thought that if folks are feeling like, okay, I can put my, because I would go, okay, this is my me time. But in truth, I wasn't able to self regulate
Ah.
emotionally in the way that I can getting outside in nature and away from the structure of the house, away from the office, away from the cats, like, and truly like being disconnected personally, just to throw that out there, because I think
Oh,
there's so,
yeah.
like you said, there's everybody has a different learning style, everybody has a different temperament, personality. And so that's something that has I've learned over the years is the fastest and best way for me to reset is to
Oh, yeah.
move out into nature.
Yeah, that's actually on my list too. Nature, movement. Um, Einstein, I think the theory of relativity came to him. He had a daily walk, his daily constitution. And and you get inspiration in the shower. You get but nature is huge. Being even if you can just get outside. If you're in a city, you can't always get into nature. Many cities have parks, but if you can't get there, you can't get there. The sky is still there. No matter where you are, you can still look up and see the sun and the moon and the clouds and just breathe that in. But when I'm talking about some specific time to sit down and work, what I want to, if you can give yourself privacy and uninterrupted time, whether you're doing the work or you're doing something for yourself, whether it's indoors or outdoors, you need to have the integrity and the self-care and the focus and the boundaries to say, I'm going to do this for myself. I have to have this time, and then give it to yourself. So be good to you. Um, I I like to do kind of try to get everything that I want to do on a one pager. And I've been on a two pager for a while. I really want to get it down to one page. This is my top thing for the day. Focus on that. A lot of times, once you get that, when you have things laid out in a certain way that's simple and easy, that includes having fun and me time, it makes it a lot easier to get through your day to accomplish the things that you really, and some, you end up getting the end of the day, you're way ahead because you had yourself kind of in a flow. Um, I like to have a morning and evening ritual of self-care. So that can be the time when I'm meditating, when I'm doing breathing exercises or some movement like yoga that gets the energy flowing. And one thing that came up recently is about procrastination. And so I don't remember who said it. It was I think it was either Jay Abraham or somebody who he had been talking with, um, to consider procrastination as something that you shouldn't be doing. So delegate it. And that's a big delegate where you procrastinate and and then focus on your strengths and delegate your weaknesses, because if those things aren't working for you, somebody else probably really likes to do them. So get it off of your plate. So just a couple more things for structuring for success. I think I talked about setting your boundaries and that having integrity, being true to yourself, to your word, to yourself, not just to other people. You brought that up earlier. were we recording when you said that? I don't think we were, but um, being true to what you need, and keeping your word to yourself when you know you need something. And a lot of people, Nicole and I were talking about there earlier, where you will bend over backwards to keep your word to somebody else, even if it's even if it's not in your own best interest. And it's kind of, I don't know where it comes from. It has so many reasons psychologically. I'm sure I'm not a psychologist, but there's so many that you could, there's probably as many as there are people. But the long and the short of it is you have to have self integrity. You have to do what you say you want to do for yourself, what you know you need to do, and what you desire most, because in the end, you're the only one you can really please. Everyone else is living their own journey, and they might not, they don't have the same vision and desire for their lives as you have for your life. So being true to yourself gives you the foundation to live your life on your terms, the way you choose to be, to be a good example. Even if you wanted to look at other people, yes, be a good be an example of how you want the world to. Sorry, I'm making my desk shake a little bit, I think. um what it, you know it begins with you, the kind of world that you want to create, and the kind of community that you want to create, which is also something I need to think in my list of what you need to structure for success, is building a community around you that loves you and supports you, people you love and want to support, and um, let it be easy.
Totally.
Let it be,
Yeah,
have fun. I mean, that's a big deal to me, having fun.
absolutely. To me
Yeah.
too. Yes. Gia,
Yes.
what you've shared so many amazing like tips and actionable steps that we can take. Thank you so much for this. I know that you have somewhere else to be. So before we wrap up, a couple of things. First off, I just want to let everybody know that, if you're willing to take a screen cap or even just post your favorite takeaway, the most profound thing you've learned so far from Gia, I would love that. And I'm sure she would
Oh
too.
yeah. That'd be great.
Yes. Make sure you're using hashtag MMFBL for Mindset Mastery for Business Leaders and tag Gia Cilento. That's at GIACILENTO. And so you'll get both of our eyes on your posts. We'll love to reshare them. And it's just as a speaker, as a content creator or curator or whatever, honestly, like I think people may not understand how much it means to us to see those posts, to know,
Oh
even though we talk, I
yeah.
mean, even though we talk to thousands and thousands of people, it's the one person whose life we affect that shares that with us that makes it worth doing. So please make sure you're sharing your takeaways, you're letting us know after the summit what you've done, how you've implemented, tag us MMFBL for me and at Gia Cilento for Gia, and we'll love to communicate with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd love to know what you took away and what your action plan is.
Yeah. And Gia, we are at the end. So any final words of wisdom you want to leave us with before we say goodbye?
Um, just put that habit in place. It's going to take some work on your part because habits need time to set in, but do it for yourself. Be your own best friend. Have fun in your life. Let it be easy, and know that you can have what you want, and go out there and get it. And let me know how you're doing. I'd love to hear from you. Um, you can go to
Amazing.
giacilento.com and find that out, find out more about me,
Great.
and have fun. Love to
Thank
hear from
you.
you.
Yes,
Thank you so
definitely.
much, Nicole, for having me on your show.
My
I'm
pleasure.
blessed by knowing you. I really appreciate who you are and what you're doing.
Thank you. Collaboration is the name of the game, right?
Yes.
And when we can make sure that everybody is winning, or we can contribute. I mean, we can't force people to win, but I think that the more we are in alignment with who we are and with each other, and we get to co-create something magical that other people can take and learn from and grow from. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about. And I know you're of the same mindset. And so it's been a lot of fun to play with you today and always. So thank you for
Yes.
being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.